Hello everybody out there. Welcome to our customers. Welcome to the interested people in PDF A3. Welcome to LuraTech's webinar named PDF A3, All Change for Document-Based Processes. My name is Carsten Heiermann, as you can read on the screen. I am the founder, president, and CEO of LuraTech, and I'm also a founding member and a member of the board of the PDF Association. Today I'm really happy to do this webinar here as we have quite a lot of registered attendees. Some of them still dialing in as far as I can tell. Some of them already listened to the German version this morning of the webinar. And I hope you enjoy listening to me today. And for those who regularly participate in LuraTech webinars, my normal partner doing the webinars together with me and others here, Armin Ottmann, our head of development, is out for a well-deserved holiday today. Still, we'll do a practical demonstration in the middle, more in the middle part of the presentation here, where we take a look at how this PDF A3 looks and feels like. I try to limit this webinar here to 45 minutes and try to include as many as possible questions to get them answered during the webinar session. Although it might take, when we have as much questions or as many questions as we had this morning, might take a little bit longer, but I try to limit the webinar itself to 45 minutes. If there are still questions, I keep going on answering them. And those of you who are interested and looking for that, they can stay online if you have time and no following meeting. But I try to limit it. Some of you already started it. Use the questions field if you want to get questions answered. If you have questions, you can just type them into your GoToMeeting software. There's a field called questions. There's a small editor. Type them in there. These questions I try to really answer verbally at the end of the webinar and go through them and kind of understand also what you're looking at. Oh yeah, somebody tried it just now, and somebody tried it who already knows what's coming, I think, because that's a very, very specific question. I'll answer it in the end. So also in the very end, once you dial out of this presentation, a small questionnaire will pop up. 5 questions, and I would really appreciate if you could go through them and answer them quickly. It's more or less multiple choice questions, so just go through that. That would really help us improve our webinar quality and topics, cater them to your needs overall. So thanks already for that. And now let's jump right into the topic. PDF A3, all change for document-based processes. Quick recap in the very beginning. I really kind of see this webinar today here a little bit like you should already know what PDF-A generally is about. But to get you up to speed a little bit again, PDF-A is an ISO standard. A is for archiving. It's an ISO standard that is today available in 3 parts, PDF-A1 to PDF-A3. Yes, all 3 parts are released in the meantime, official ISO standards. And the general purpose of PDF-A is to transform or convert your archival materials in a way that you will receive something like a very static view of them. So even in the far future, your archival material should look exactly the same like it looks when you store it today to any kind of electronic archive. And that's not something that's generally available. For example, proprietary or native private formats might go away. There might not be any reader any longer. And also the things that we create today are in no way always archive ready, let's say. So because you might hit technically not predictable systems in the far future. If you need to keep your documents for like 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, there might be systems out there that you have no idea today what they look like, what they have available in order to render your archival materials that you store today. Therefore, you have to take measures and precautions, and that's exactly what PDFA is about. It is about creating self-containing documents because when you can't rely on system resources in the far future, in unpredictable technical systems, you today at least have to take the precaution to embed all the components that you need to render the file into the file. And that's nothing that's happening every day. A general PDF file, a general Word file, whatever it is, normally references like the fonts in a system. It references something like a system-depending color space or color encoding, and therefore it might really not be self-containing at all and thus not be able to render it in a far future. This way, we also get very reliable documents, high-quality PDFs, you could say, when you create them compatible to the PDFA standard. There's no active, no unsecure content in that that might be interpreted differently on a different computer in any future than it is interpreted today, and therefore it might look different if you not do PDFA compatible. So PDFA is, in summary, something that could be described as a compatible archival container where you can put your big varieties of different source formats into in order to make them long-term archivable. PDFA is electronic paper. That's something like a small sentence to kind of understand what it is. In the past, you printed something out and filed it in your paper archive. And that was static, and it still looks the same like when you filed it in the 1970s today. Almost, a little bit more yellow, but it looks the same. PDFA now is electronic paper. You transform your archival electronic material into something that makes it static, that gives it a static view, that makes the appearance absolutely static, and that's what you put in your electronic archive today. So the electronic paper paradigm kind of is a good explanation for what PDFA is. That's it regarding the basics. A little bit sorting out the three different parts that we have in order to talk more about the third part that is just new. PDFA1, the first part of the ISO standard, is out in the market there. It's released. It's an ISO standard officially published since 2005. So that's quite a while already. It is electronic paper, or it describes a way to generate something like, in quotations, electronic paper based upon PDF 1.4, a pretty old version of PDF. It has these compliance levels that is always difficult to understand from a conceptual point, where you can say, I want to keep my view static, my archival material looks static and always the same, and that's a compliance level B, or I also want to maintain, in addition to that, my semantics, like the reading order or whatever it is, and then that is what is described in level A compliance. PDFA2 appeared last summer, no, not this last summer, but in 2011 in summer, a good year ago. It's again electronic paper based upon ISO 3200. ISO 3200 is the first PDF version described in an ISO standard. This will go on, but it's the first version described in an ISO standard, and it's word identical to the Adobe specification PDF 1.7. This introduced another compliance level even, having to do with Unicode, as you can see there. And for those who have no idea what I'm talking about, you should probably go to YouTube this time. Take a look at youtube.com/LuraTech. That's our YouTube channel, where we have a huge variety of different webinars recorded regarding PDFA basic information and basic educational material on PDFA, as well as webinars on special topics like scanned documents in PDFA or emails in PDFA, and other specialities around the topic PDFA. So now again back to PDFA3. This is brand new. It just came out mid of October 2012. That's not even a month ago that it is released by the ISO committee. It's technically stable from the committee, on the technical committee for quite some months now, but it just recently was published by the ISO, thus being made official. And guess what? PDF-A3 is a little bit different. It's not the evolution of PDF specification that you need to examine in terms of their ability to archive, like we did with PDF-A2. You know, PDF-A1 was how to archive documents based on PDF 1.4. PDF-A2 was how to archive documents based upon ISO 3200 or PDF 1.7. Now, PDF-A3 is different because PDF-A3 is the same thing as PDF-A2. The only thing is one more feature. I use this one more thing here because that's only one more feature, but that feature really enables us to rethink, reconsider, and restructure our document-based processes to a bigger extent. And I hope I'm able to show you today what it can all do for us. Now, the feature is PDF-A3 allows attachments or embedded files in PDF-A files that have any kind of format. Sounds a bit strange. So what you can do is you can store an XML file, an Excel file, an Office document of any sorts, whatever it is, into a PDF-A file as attachments. And why is that? And what is that? It sounds a little bit like a strange idea, right? PDF-A3, is it an archival format or not? It looks like a contradiction because the PDF-A Competence Center, the PDF Association, me, and probably also you to your customers explain for quite some years now that all the native formats, like your Office formats, your emails, or whatever, should be converted to PDF-A first and then long-term archived, so that you can view them over the long time unchanged. Now it says PDF-A3 embeds this exact same native formats into a PDF-A file, and I can understand folks who immediately say contradiction. That's not right. That doesn't sound right. And yes, of course, very intelligent people came together in this ISO committee and had a very good idea, and probably we need to understand what they had in mind. And the key word that you need to keep in mind at that point is a PDF-A3 file has what we could see as different parts. One part of a PDF-A3 file is probably identical to a PDF-A2 file or whatever, is the archival part. That's the part that is prepared and stored into a PDF-A file in a way that is static, looks the same over all the years, just as I explained what the goal of PDF-A2 is, of PDF-A general is. And then in addition to that, a PDF-A3 file has a non-archival part. And that's exactly the attachment, because when you embed an Excel file in its native format, in its Excel format, into a PDF-A3 as an attachment, of course, it doesn't make this Excel file suddenly long-term readable or archival ready or whatever it is. It is definitely a non-archival part. And why could that be of interest? I think I can show you throughout this webinar here today server use cases that might be convincing why that could be a good idea. And I only start here with some highlight information. For example, doing so, embedding an arbitrary kind of file format into your PDF-A file, you could achieve a situation where you can save your archive-ready rendition, the PDF-A file, together with something like the source format where you created this archival material from into the same file. And I will definitely show you later on what that's good for. You could have a situation where you can save your archive-ready rendition, again, the PDF-A file, and store into that some related machine-readable data, like a database, like XML, whatever it is. It could make sense to bring that together. You could save metadata inseparable from its archival material by storing metadata in its original format as attachment into a long-term archive-ready PDF-A file. There's one risk doing so. You do have to make sure that you do not confuse the archival material and the additional information, the additional thing, because As I said before, if you want to archive long-term something that is an Excel spreadsheet on the first hand, and you do not convert that to PDFA, but store it as an attachment in PDFA, it doesn't help anything, because you always have to make sure the archival part goes into PDFA in a way like we did it today already, and only the additional information, the additional data, goes in there as attachment. We'll take a look at some use cases later on. Now, these embedded files, attachment or so-called associated files in a PDFA file, can even have a relationship to something in the PDFA file, to an object in there. For example, an attachment could be data or source or alternative to a specific PDFA object. This is something that is really brand new. The idea and concept is brand new behind that. It's so new that this idea of giving attachments a relationship to PDFA object is not even available in PDF. It's really only part of the PDFA ISO standard in the specification of PDFA. But nevertheless, you can embed files as associated files to and tell them this file is, let's say, the data of a specific page or related to a specific page in a PDFA file, or to pages, or to a whole PDFA document. Or it could be related to specific content, like a drawing, a diagram, a text paragraph. So in the lower part of the slide that you see here, I have some examples for you what that means. So for example, you could have an Excel spreadsheet, and the Excel spreadsheet has data rows in it, and from that data rows, a specific drawing or diagram was created. So you could attach the raw data, let's say, as an Excel, called data XLS here, mark them or the relationship with data and relate it to that specific diagram on page 3 of your PDFA document. In this way, you can very intelligently connect source data to the long-term rendition for different purposes. You could do something like from a capture process, you got some metadata or whatever in a CSV file or whatever it is, and you could mark them as data for a given number of pages. That could be the whole document or a separate amount of pages. You could have a Word file called text doc here, and that could be the source of your PDF A3 file. So what you could do is you could convert a Word document to PDF A and then attach as an embedded or associated file the original Word file and mark it as source to the whole document. That's an idea. Or you could have something like an attachment that is an audio file, and the audio file could be an alternative representation for a text content, an abstract, a paragraph where somebody spoke that and just read it aloud and stored it into an audio file, and you can make a relation to a text portion and say, this is also available as whatever, audiobook or something inside the same file. So this is brand new stuff, absolutely latest in PDF technology to have these relations available. There are also, as always, some limitations. So when it comes to embedding files of any type into a PDFA file, first of all, the ISO standard, and I looked into the ISO standard yesterday again to make absolutely sure, and this is a direct quote from the ISO standard. ISO, or it says the part 3 of ISO 19005 allows for embedding of files of any type. So you can attach anything to your PDF A3 files. But practically, there are some limitations. Limitations are coming into this here by implementation details. The omnipresent Acrobat Reader, Adobe Reader, sometimes is important because your users will take a look at your PDF A3 file using the Adobe Reader at some point. And the Adobe Reader has, when it comes to attached files, a so-called blacklist in there. And the blacklist says there are certain file types that Adobe sees to be dangerous. That's these ones here, and a lot more. There are 30 formats that they say, when there is an exe file, an executable file, attached to a PDF or embedded into a PDF file, and the user wants to open that, we're probably not allowed. We don't allow that. That's the blacklist. So what happens, sorry for the German screenshots, but I think you get the message here. I did it on my computer yesterday. I created a PDF A3 file and with the PDF compressor or product to do so, and I attached the product, the PDF compressor executable, to that PDF A3 file, which is allowed from the standard, but that's where Adobe Reader says, no, 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 this is too dangerous. We probably get viruses or what. We are not executing this executable file. Therefore, it is a blacklist. And to get around those blacklists here, you can do that if you're technical savvy, and if you have fun doing so, you could go to your Windows registry and change some parameters. For example, there is a part where it says exe for executable, and there is a value behind that, and the value is 3. And the value 3 says, no, don't open this file in any case, and the result is this message box here. You could now go to your registry and say exe is now the value 2, and the value 2 says open it in any case without even asking. But that's not something you can use, so therefore when you create PDF A3 files, you have to be aware of this implementation detail, as I put it. Once you have any other file format that is not on the blacklist attached to your PDFA files, and it's not PDF, because PDF attachments in PDF files is the only thing Adobe Acrobat opens without any comment, all the other files run into a dialog that looks like that here. And again, sorry for the German screenshot, I just don't have an English version available. And this thing says there was a CSV file attached here, and it says open this file from now on every time. This is whitelisting that the user can do on his specific installation, or open this file from now on, never again, this file type, let's say. Never again, that's blacklisting that the user can do. Now, again, you have to make sure that you create PDF A3 files with their embedded files in a way that you can use them. And if you have a situation that your users will use the files by looking at them and the attachments in Acrobat Reader, you probably want to respect the blacklist here and avoid those formats. If you, on the other hand, create PDF A3 file and attach machine-readable data, for example, index files that you need to re-import something into your systems or so, and these index files are in there zipped, and it's not meant for the user, but for any kind of system that uses a PDF library, takes the PDFA apart and extracts the zip file out of there. That's not Adobe Reader implementation that's going to happen. That's standard compliant. You could do that. Today, our product, the PDF compressor itself, embeds everything that you can have out there, including executable, like you see here. I did it with PDF compressor. But our plan is to change that a little bit and make it an option. So an option that would have a default setting in the PDF compressor that respects and prevents embedding files that are on the blacklist of Adobe, and only by option you can say, don't care about the blacklist, embed everything that I give you to embed. Therefore, you just have to make sure what you're doing out there, and you can also talk to us. We're totally open to discuss implementation details like that so that they cater your need that you have once you think about PDF A3 in your processes the best, let's say. So, use cases. So now again, what is this all good for? First of all, I picked out scanned documents here. And you could have the idea to say, yes, I have this TIFF file or JPEG file coming out of my scanner, and I convert that to PDFA, have a PDFA rendition of that, make it long-term archival, and I can attach it also as an attachment in the scanned TIFF or JPEG version or whatever. I have no idea. Probably you have, but that doesn't sound like a very terrible, desperately needed workflow or thing to do. But I think in terms of scanned documents, what is a field that is often not really fully covered is metadata. And metadata, metadata comes in all different kinds and formats. And some librarians say metadata is totally usable without the scanned image, but a scanned image without metadata is more than often not usable at all. And I kind of follow the idea here, so it's definitely worth to think about metadata. And now, PDFA3 makes PDFA the complete format for scanned documents because since version 1, let's say, PDFA makes sure that your scanned documents are readable long-term. Compression schemas like also we support with MRC compression or JBIG2 or whatever it is, you might remember this drawing over here. These allows you to compress your scanned documents inside PDFA files so small that you get really color documents that are no bigger than a TIFF Group 4 black and white file and so on. We had webinars on that separately. OCR allows you to make your scanned documents searchable, and it's all in one PDFA file and is now accompanied by the ability of having attachments which can put your scanned documents into context. And putting something into context is nothing else than using metadata. And the metadata, you can decide how you want to treat them. If you're a librarian and your metadata is doubling core, you probably want to use doubling core in XMP. That's a defined way of doing it since PDFA 1. Again, we have a webinar on the basics here. If you have metadata in a non-standard format, in a private format, which is more than often the case, you can use your original format now and attach it to your files and embed it into your files as an associated file. And if you're not quite sure what to do, just give me a call, drop me an email, and we try to figure it out for you what the best way is. Another use case is born digital or character encoded files. In other words, those files that come out of your office system, your emails, whatever it is. There is an interesting concept going on in the PDFA community since quite a while that's called hybrid archiving. So what is that? Hybrid archiving is a suggestion, what you should do when you have documents that are still in their life cycles. You have a document management system and have a Word file in there, and you're probably still working on it. So what's happening once, or as long as the document is in the life cycle, you check it out from the document management system, work on it, and check it back into the document management system, creating a new revision or version of that document. When in that process is the time that the life cycle of the document is over and you convert it to an archive-ready rendition, in other words, a PDFA file. Suggestion is every time you check it in again, you create a PDFA derivative of the latest version that you check back into that system, so you can make sure that whenever the document lifecycle stops, which you don't know, nobody touches it again, nobody does create a new version, you have your PDFA rendition, your long-term rendition available. That's a suggestion, and that suggestion is called hybrid archiving because you store both the still to be edited original native format and the long-term rendition in PDFA. Using PDFA3, you can work around a problem that this hybrid archiving concept has in most document management systems. Most document management systems allow only one file per document, and there is no relation that says this is another alternative representation of the same file or something like that. But if you do hybrid archiving, you check in your Word file and you check in your PDFA file in most of the cases of the same document. Now, reality tells us you take a look at your document management system and you have 5 revisions of your Word file and you have 3 revisions of the associated sort of PDFA3 file. What's what? You never can tell. So do I have the latest thing in here as long-term archive rendition and so on and so forth? PDFA3 with the embedded files, the attached files, of course is a solution. You only have one file per document there, and the one file has a container, and the container is the long-term archive rendition. And in addition, there's an attached file in that container. That's the still to be edited native original format, like the Word file in there. In this case, you can work with any standard document management system and still do hybrid archiving with PDFA if you're going the PDFA3 route. And this, again, tells us a little bit of a lesson about how is it with the archival and the non-archival part in the PDFA3 files. PDFA3 is the long-term archiving format, and the requirements are has has to render identical for many, many years, decades, in some industries, forever. That's called archiving, of course. And PDFA does that from the very beginning. The attachment in there, again, in this case here, hybrid archiving, the original Word file works as long as it works. Now, you have a version that you're using today, and it might work next year and the year after, probably 10 or 12 years, whatever. And then there is suddenly a point in future where it doesn't render any longer, where it's not longer editable because there's just no software support anymore for native formats of old versions of programs, or the programs go away completely. So the requirements to that is it may be used a couple of years, maybe sometimes even only a couple of months, where you need this embedded file in hybrid archiving because that's the scope, that's the document lifecycle. The original Word file works for 6 months, 6 years, and that's good enough. So again, it's very, very important to tell the difference between the archival and the non-archival part of a PDFA3. Yeah, I want to show you how that all looks, and I have prepared two examples. First is a set of scanned invoices with CSV files, comma-separated files that are resulting from an invoice capture process. It's a small sample and specimen. Doesn't matter. I think you totally get where I'm going to. And the second thing that I want to show you is an example of hybrid archiving and how that works. Got to switch to a virtual machine where my software is running, and you'll see that any second now. And switch should be there. So what you see here on the upper half is the PDF compressor, our product that I just use here to demonstrate how it all works. And on the lower part, you see the Windows Explorer showing us some files. So first example is I have scanned invoices. That's what this means here, German lesson here, with CSV files coming from a data capture process. And the scanned invoices are annotated, colored, whatever, barcoded, whatever it is. You know that from your daily work. And there are a variety of samples in here as TIFF files. In addition to that, we have data captured, and every invoice has a CSV file that has the same name, just .csv, and that contains the captured data for that specific invoice. Now what we do is we create a PDFA3 file in a way that, first of all, we read the TIFF files from a specific folder. We MRC compress the scanned documents to show that we're color scanned documents. We apply full text OCR to make it searchable. Why not? It's a good option. We convert those to a PDFA3U compliance level and PDFA part. Again, I refer to our webinars if you can't tell what the U means here that are recorded on YouTube. And in addition to that, we embed the CSV files into there. And that's done in the following way. We say embed other file, and we pick it up from a specific folder. That's the folder called captured data here that I showed you before. And we say same file name as the TIFF file or as the original image file, but it ends on CSV. And the relation to the document is it's the data. It's the captured data for that invoices. So that's all what we need to do. And we just do it. We start it. See, it starts. TIFF number 1 is compressed and OCR'd. TIFF number 2 is compressed and OCR'd. It goes all the way down to TIFF number 5. And outputs a PDFA3U file with embedded CSV files, with embedded capture data. You saw it went to PDF to the 5th TIFF, and then just immediately was ready because the embedding of files is not really something that takes any time. So for those of you who use the PDF compressor, they could already tell that the file would be named in.pdf because it takes the name of the input folder and merges all, that's here, merges all the pages into a single PDF document. That's the settings we used. And here's how it looks. Again, the samples are German, but I think you get the message. We have those former 5 TIFF files merged into 5 invoice pages in a PDF A3 file, and I can show you here with this option. It's reader XI, it's reader 11, that allows you to give you some information on the PDF A file, and it's a PDF A3U file compliant to ISO 19005-3, part 3. And it has this clip here, this paper clip here. And the paper clip shows, guess what? Our attachments embedded in here. And what you can do with these attachments now is you can, again, sorry for the German versions, I don't have any English, but I translate. You can open the attachment here, or you can save the attachment and then go on working with that attachment. We open it really quick. This is the dialog I showed you before in a screenshot. It says, open this file from now on forever, file type from now on forever, or never again ask me and don't open this file type in the future. Blacklisting, whitelisting, or for the presentation's sake, would be good to just open it. And this is captured data. It says barcode, it says year of the booking, it says invoice number, it says invoice data, it says received data, and it says the gross amount of the invoice. You probably have much more complex samples with long lists of data and whatnot, but I think you can tell, oh, I stored the, no, don't save. You can get the concept from what I showed you here just now. So that's the part. You can embed automatically a variety of attachments with your scanned documents as metadata, as captured data, as whatever it is. Second example that I used before as a use case was this concept of hybrid archiving, and I want to show you that too because that's a little bit different setting in here. First of all, we have an input folder that's different, hybrid archiving input folder, that now contains not scanned documents but any kind of born digital character encoded documents, in this case Excel, Word, PowerPoint. And so we use our born digital mode in here to convert Excel, Word, PowerPoint to PDF-A long-term archive rendition. And we do that making them PDF A3U compliant again. And on the input part, this time we again use the file embedding thing here and say embed the input file. And that's hybrid archiving, as easy as that. So we convert the Word file to a PDF-A file and embed the Word file to the new created PDF-A file. And this is also a very fast process. I hit the start button and you see my dual core virtual machine here picks up 2 at once and runs ahead, and it's done. And you see 3 PDF files now that are, I open it, this was the Excel function chart or whatever it was. You have a long-term archive ready rendition in here from that Excel file. You have the information, it's PDF A3U, and at the paperclip you have the original file to go on and editing it. And saving it again, creating a new revision, and all these things. So I think that's also, I don't need to repeat that for Word and PowerPoint, looks exactly the same. So that's the way to do hybrid archiving. I'm going back to the PowerPoint slides now. Just one second. Okay, here we go. I hope you can see it. Yes, going back. So I showed you scan files with CSV file attachment from a capture process and a hybrid archiving example as 2 use cases for PDF A3. Now, there's one more thing that is, I think, really interesting going on over here in good old Germany. And that's a use case example for PDF A3 used in document communication, document exchange. And we are doing something pretty revolutionary over here at this point that I want to share with you as a thought and a concept all the way over to the United States and wherever you are. German government at this point is creating something that they call an electronic invoice exchange format. The goal with that is you should be able to send and receive invoices And sorry, scan service providers, avoid completely capturing data on the receiving side without using, like the automotive industry does and so on, EDI. It's just using standard technology that they always use the example of a small flower shop that every flower shop has available. The initiative is driven by the German Ministry of Economics and is accompanied by all associations, industry associations, by the bigger ISVs, the software vendors, and by many, many different stakeholders here in Germany. It will become a German national standard, a DIN norm, as we say, now German national standard, and thereafter, and this is the relation to PDF A3, you will have an electronic invoice as a PDF file, as you know it already. You send out an invoice by just printing it or whatever to a PDF file and send it to your customers. In the future, this standard says it should be a PDF A3 file, and avoiding the capturing process, of course, is done by embedding on the creation side of the invoice the data as XML file into that PDF A3 file as an attachment. As easy as that. We use for the XML part something that is specified by the United Nations as a subset called cross-industry invoice or core invoice data model that is used for those who want to dig deep and are ready to read some very technical stuff. I just put the additional information in here. You can pick it from the presentation later on. Just drop me an email if you want to receive this presentation here. We have a tough schedule. It is really expected that at the next CeBIT show, that's the bigger German IT show, which is in March 2013, results should be presented. Results are buy-in and commitment by the ERP system vendors, named SAP, Lexware, whatever, Sage, and so on. And also results regarding getting this standard ready. And it's a pretty prominent thing. You in the United States had your election already, but we have it next year. So it might really be something that goes on the top level of the politics to help small and medium-sized companies avoiding difficult reoccurring processes like capturing data from invoices. Outlook is definitely to take it on the European Union level. That's why they picked the European Union level, European Union standards for it. Here's some chances on how it's rendered and so on, but that's not of that much interest. What is of interest here is it can be your completely corporate identity, corporate version of a PDF invoice as you know it, accompanied by an attachment being an XML going after that standard. The invoice, tax relevant invoice, let's say, is the PDF file, the visible stuff, so that every small flower shop using that XML attachment or not has the same reliable thing, and those who have the ability to import the XML file attached in there, just being in there, do not have to type any more key in the future when it comes to incoming invoices. I definitely want to show you that too. Just again switch back to the virtual machine here, and I show it to you. You should be able to see it now. And I'm not going to create it again, although I could with a PDF compressor. It's pretty boring, pretty same way of like we did it before with the embedding stuff. So I use the prepared invoice here. And yeah, this is it. So you receive an electronic invoice, hopefully in your own language and not in German all the time. But you're pretty familiar with that. It's gross and net and whatnot. And if your systems can do that, they can go to this XML file here and import it, again, not using the Acrobat Reader most probably, but really importing it to your ERP system. And in here, without any capture, is all the relevant black information like registration number of the company, phone number, amount, whatever, addresses, and all this kind of stuff. No capture any longer. And it is a PDF A3 application. It's a PDF A3 use case using it in document communication. switch back to the presentation very quick. Okay, should be on your screen. So it's a pretty big game changer probably for small and medium-sized company that's going on here. It has the complete politics, industry, software vendors, and so on support and backing, and it could definitely reach the tipping point this time and change the processes of our documents, of our document communication using PDF A3, and a very simple concept that is just one more feature than PDF A2, allowing to store arbitrary file formats into PDF A long-term ready archival files. Conclusion? I think PDF A3, all change for document-based processes, is a pretty strong thesis, or yeah, a pretty strong expression. But the invoice exchange format here in Germany should definitely show you the potential that PDF A3 actually has when you come over the first view contradiction with archival and non-archival part of a PDF A3 file and understand what it can do for you. And probably it's a good idea to take a look at your own or your customers' document-based processes and think about where you do things in a way that you could do more intelligent with PDF A3 and their attachments. Look at the cost savings you could do, look at the better services you can probably render to you, your suppliers, or your customers. PDF A3 is released, it's ready, it's usable, it's an official part of an ISO standard. Acrobat Reader 11 supports PDF A3. We saw that to take a look at the files that you create, PDF A3 compatible. PDF Compressor, you saw that, totally also supports PDF A3 creation, so you can do that from now on. When you're a customer, you either have it already, the latest update is nothing else than what I showed you a minute ago. When you're a customer not having it, request an update from our support team in your normal ways like you do that. If you're not yet a customer, if you're interested in PDF A3, drop me a line, send me an email, or use our contact forms on our website, LuraTech.com, and require your testing. Require a test version of the PDF Compressor Enterprise, the product I just showed you, and it's free. It's totally an unlimited free demo version that you can use for that to kind of get your own experience with PDF A3. Okay, 48 minutes now. I'm 3 minutes over the time, and definitely at this point want to officially thank you for your attention. Many people in there today, so PDF A3 seems to be a pretty interesting topic. Thanks for attending again. Thanks also, once you dial out of here, for quickly filling in our questionnaire. The webinar is now officially ending, let's say, but if you have still time to stay around here for another like 5-10 minutes here, I'm now definitely going to through the questions that are received throughout the webinar, question by question, and I'm going to read it out and I'm going to answer it to you. So and if there's additional questions coming up, just type them in the questions field in there, and I'm going to try to answer that. Now, first question in here is, what is the supported color depth for PDF A3? Okay, not sure how to answer that. It's the exact same thing as we had it in PDF A2. There is no change on that. It's just a single feature. Color depth supported is, I think, almost everything that is supported in PDF, except of using machine dependable or private schemas for color spaces and color descriptions. If that's not answering your question, probably drop me an email and we figure out how to better answer it. The biggest size of documents that can be stored into PDF A3 file, that's almost unlimited. You can put everything in there. Question is, how long does it make sense? Like gigabytes and gigabytes of file sizes might not be the biggest fun for users also to look at because they might download really slow and whatnot. And that's more the limitations that we have. There might be limitations throughout the Windows system if you're still using 32-bit Windows, if you're using Windows that has that theoretically 4 gigabyte file size limit, that could be limits, but generally speaking, PDF does not really limit the file sizes. Oh, there's a more formal question. Will the slides be available for downloading? Yes, they are. I'm going to just attach them to an email, send it to you. My email address is on the screen here. You can see that, c.heiermann, which is Heiermann at luratech.com. Drop me a line. I answer with the slides immediately. Second thing is also this webinar is recorded and will show up in our YouTube channel. If you have German language colleagues, there is also a German language version available from this morning, as well as the other webinars in the YouTube channel, youtube.com/LuraTech, and give us like a good week and it will be in there. Another question is like how many attachments you can embed in a PDF file. I can't answer that question immediately completely. There might be a limit, like 64,000 or something. But first and foremost, like for the normal use cases, as you saw that, it's not limited to 1. It can be 5, it can be 10, it can be hundreds, it can be thousands, definitely. And then whether at all there is a limit, sure, as always in software, but I'm not sure whether it's like a list that is 8, 16, or 32 bits or 64 bits. I'm not sure. So it's definitely a lot. And you can definitely get to the situation where you can attach files and reference them to pages and still have some space to attach other files and reference them to diagrams, to the whole document and whatnot. It's a pretty long list. If that's not good enough as an answer and you're looking for the real high numbers in there, just drop me a line again, and I'm going to figure it out from the standard how long the pointer to attached files can be, or the list of attached files can be. Same question again, file size limitation for attachments, only from a systems standpoint, not from PDF standpoint. Is there an SDK available, .NET available? Yeah, it is. Of course it is. We have the PDF LuraDocument PDF SDK out there. If you're asking whether there's an SDK available from us, yes, it is. It's also available .NET, and of course, other vendors of the PDF Association might also have something for you. But of course, would prefer if you take a look at our solutions. There's another question that is more generally related to PDF-A. And that is the standard ISO 19005 is unique because ISO has formally promised is good, committed to never withdraw it. Is that true? Clear yes. It's absolutely true. It's the only standard from the ISO out there in the world that doesn't have a check again or check back date. So all the other standards out there have a schedule to check back all 10 years and see whether they are still relevant or not. And if they are no longer relevant, ISO can definitely withdraw them, call them back, and declare them void and null. But PDF-A is never going to go away. That's a clear commitment. And and do I have a point where I can prove that? Okay, I'm working in the ISO committee together with many colleagues of the PDF Association. I'm directly related, and do I have something on the ISO website or not that is something that is readable for everybody? I am not sure, but I can definitely find that out. You know what? I'm going to return to that later and send you an email. It's Mark. Mark, I send you an email. Once I found it out, or once I found a publicly available source for that, what I know is true. And it does apply to PDF A3 in the same way, of course. It's applicable to ISO 19005, whatever many parts are coming up in the future. There is a general question regarding AutoCAD files and our PDF compressor and how it works together, or how well it works together. Yeah, what should I say? Of course it works well. Now, honestly, AutoCAD files are, how should I put that? Are a little bit difficult. It's probably the second most difficult format to convert to PDF-A. The first most difficult format is PDF, believe it or not. Second most difficult is AutoCAD, and something like Office files and so on is almost easy going. So AutoCAD is always difficult because you have lots and lots of business logic to interpret and to go through to understand what you need to render. And our software relies on an AutoCAD installation in order to render the files correctly. And what we pick out of that AutoCAD is either a printing or a PDF that is created by AutoCAD, and that's what we transform to PDF-A with our Born Digital solution of the PDF compressor. If you're interested to figure out, drop me an email. I'll definitely shoot you over a demo version so that you can try it with your AutoCAD files. Probably more an expert in AutoCAD than I am. So I go on answering questions, and I totally appreciate the big number of attendees still staying here. I hope it's still of interest for you. And there's, I think, something like 7, 8, 9 more questions that I'm going to answer. One question which I need to understand first. Files can be associated with documents and certain page, or even with X objects and so on. Oh yeah, somebody who knows PDF, yeah. Even with marked content, yeah, you can attach or associate a file to even an annotation or something. Does your PDF compressor have such ability? Yes and no. You can do something like to pages or to the document, but we are not yet on the level to pick specific objects and attach and associate to that. Like, as I mentioned, the diagram on page 3, and here's the source data for that. PDF compressor does not yet do that. At some point, you're probably better off with a desktop tool where you can kind of graphically on the user interface manage that. PDF compressor is for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of documents to convert them, must-wise unattended mode on the server. So, but on the other hand, we are totally at this point looking into how should we structure this brand new thing here in our PDF compressor so that it caters your needs. So if you're interested to do something very specific with us, I repeat myself, drop me an email. I take a look at that, and we definitely take this to the product management team and see what kind of additional options we can do and create, and how we should handle our PDF A3 creation in the PDF compressor so that it fits most of your needs out there. There's a question whether we do have a competitive analysis against other vendors. That's a hard thing to do. Software version including PDF A3 support as the standard is mid-October is like a couple of weeks old would say too much. It's just out there, just ready. And there's not all PDF vendors already supporting PDF A3 out there. What I can definitely tell you is the PDF compressor, again, is meant to run on a server and must-wise, batch-wise, hundreds and hundreds of thousands or millions and millions of pages a month or documents a month, convert them to PDF-A in an automated fashion. And that, of course, makes it different compared to other vendors' products like Adobe Acrobat Professional or something. There is companies specializing out there in Born Digital content. There's companies specializing in other content. We have a specialization in scan content, plus we have the complete offering for Born Digital content. So if you have any specific questions, like how do you compare to a specific vendor, here's the repetition again, drop me an email. Do you have a product that does the same sort of thing as PDF compressor as an add-in for SharePoint? No, we don't, period. Could you please name software which are available to correctly display PDF A3A is meant here. Reader 11 would be the first choice that comes to my mind here. Probably I overlook something that is inside the question here, which I don't understand at this point, but as far as I understand it, Reader 11 is the thing that is released, and from the Acrobat Online show and from what I saw at the last trade shows and from talking to the colleagues at Adobe, that at least supports PDF A3A to that extent. A always implies probably something like things that are going on PDF UA, universal access, with all its tagging and accessibility options and stuff like that. If that's meant, that's a whole different webinar that we might do at one point. Not sure. Yeah, Adobe Reader would be, in the latest version, would be my suggestion here. Yeah, copy of presentation, drop me an email, I said it before. Email preservation using PDF A3. Yeah, I can definitely tell you something about email preservation using PDF A3. In this morning's German version of the same webinar here, I had questions like, we have our emails in message files, MSG, coming out of Outlook or Exchange or whatever, and those contain attachments that are zipped. And now you told us that zip is not something that is so easy inside of PDF-A. And I only can warn you at this point here and say, make sure that you do not confuse additional information with the archival material. If you do email archiving with PDF-A, you do not necessarily need PDF-A3, because I would normally say the email body together with the email attachments are archival material, and you can easily convert that to PDF-A1 or PDF-A2 without the need for any kind of attachments. Only if additionally or in addition to those archival formats that you generate of your emails with your email attachments, you need to, for some workflow or whatever, store the original file format, the MSG file, EML file, whatever it is, into your PDF-A3. Then you need PDF-A3, but then there's no real difference between any Born Digital content and emails doing so. Just make sure that you always can tell what is the archival material, and that goes into PDF-A3 or PDF-A of any form, and not into an attachment. Hope that answers the question. Again, something regarding the slides. I said that before. Oh yeah, good question. Very good question. Answer is unfortunately no, but the very good question here is, can you organize your attachments to the PDF-A3 file, or are they all attached in the same level, like a flat list or something, right? All in a row. E.g., categorize them or arrange them into a tree structure or something like that. I said it before, answer is unfortunately no. It's a flat list. It's just one list down the row and has all the attachments in a row. But you can associate them. You can tell this attachment in that list is related as data, source, alternative, whatever, to this and this PDF-A object. So you can organize it in a way that is more intrinsic. You can't organize them in a visual way where you make it a tree view or something like that. That's not available. It's just a list. And then there's a question regarding the backwards compatibility, and that's the last question for today that I have so far. And it's also, we have more than 1 hour now, so I really appreciate your interest in the topic. The last question for today is backwards compatibility. Is it only compatible to Acrobat 11? Clearly no. You can view PDF files or PDF-A files with attachments, with embedded files, associated files, also in older versions, in pretty old versions of the Acrobat Reader, because this is a concept that is in PDF. The embed files, attached files, is a concept that is in PDF since many, many years. So your old versions will totally be able to display it in a way like you saw it here. What you only can see in the 11 version is the compatibility to PDF A3 thing that I showed you in the information button there, because that was just unknown years ago. It won't be available in the old version. You can see the file, you can see the attachments, you can open and save the attachments and work with that. You just can't, your older viewers just don't tell you whether it's A3 or not. It's just PDF for the older viewers. Second thing is, even using the Acrobat 11, you can't visualize in the reader the relationships. That's a little bit of downside because it's absolutely new technology. You can only see the relationships where I said it's data, it's source and whatnot when you use Acrobat Pro and go into the pre-flight, and with pre-flight take a look at the internal structure of a PDFA. So we're really cutting edge here. It's really new. It's something where you can consider changing your process. You can use it for anything now, but it's not yet completely supported by the viewing software out there when it comes to displaying the relationships and the specialities. Generally speaking, the archival content in the PDFA file plus the embedded files, the attachments, are also completely usable in older versions of Acrobat or any viewer out there that supports embedded or attached files from other companies. Good. Folks, 1 hour and 7 minutes. I'm so proud of you that you stood with me here for such a long time, and I really, really appreciate the time you spend with me here on PDFA3. And I think that telling by the number of people that dialed in, that were several hundred today, the amount of people dialing in here, by the time that you spend here and the interest that you have, and also by the examples given, especially with the invoice exchange format. This is something that we have here, PDFA3. It's all ready. You can do that. Definitely take a look at it. And if you need any support, again, contact me doing so. Thank you very, very much for being here today with me, and have a good day.